This content is being produced by the podcast Bourbon Real Talk. The usual show format is to do a live review of a whiskey with a guest who tells their personal story. The purpose is to expose the world to the lives of people they may not have otherwise come in contact with. The goal is to reduce division and form new connections. Occasionally, we produce content that is meant to be educational like this program. For more information about Bourbon Real Talk, you can go to our website at bourbonrealtalk.com, where you can sign up for our email list, or we can be found on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Stitcher, Google Play, and iTunes by searching Bourbon Real Talk. Enjoy.
Hello everybody, Randy Sullivan here with Bourbon Real Talk. Wanted to talk with you today about something that is very special to me, and that is being involved in Whiskey Club and the whiskey community as a whole. Now, I wasn't always involved with Whiskey Club. I probably really didn't start getting involved until the latter part of 2017, but I had been in Whiskey Club for a couple of years before I really did anything. Every so often I'd hop on, I'd check to see bottles are for sale and things like that, but that was about it. And there's a lot of people in all of the clubs that I participate in that are in that same boat, that they're just kind of lurkers, they're there, but they don't do that much. And I can tell you that when I decided to jump in with both feet, it really did change my life for the better. I've made some amazing friends in Whiskey Club. I've witnessed and personally experienced amazing networking opportunities for my career, for other people's careers. I have had the opportunity to do some amazing things, go to distilleries, meet amazing people from the industry. I've tried insane rare whiskeys absolutely for free. I've tried OFC. I've tried the Old Rip Van Winkle 25-year squat bottle. I've tried, the Booker's Rye. All of these just within the last few months, all absolutely for free. And I want to help other people that are right now sitting in the club. You're watching this and you haven't really done anything, you haven't jumped in, you haven't gotten involved, to know how to do it and why you would want to do it. Okay, so first off, one thing that I didn't know, and this might be elementary for most of you because you're Facebook users, but I wasn't a heavy Facebook user until I got involved with Whiskey Club. And what I didn't know was that when you're in a group like a Whiskey Club, everything is private or secret for just the club members. And so a lot of the reason why I didn't want to get involved is because I was worried that my customers who didn't believe that drinking was okay would see what I was involved in and it would turn people off. But what happens in the club stays in the club, or at least that's supposed to be the rule, and that's supposed to be the way that it works. And so when you're a club member, you are able to post a text post. You can have links in your post. You can post photos, you can post videos, you can record those live, or you can record them on your phone and upload them later. But there's those kind of how you interact. That's how you do things in the club. And that's when you start to do those types of things, people start to get to know who you are. They get to know what you're about, what you're into, and that's going to help you to make some connections. Now, some of the ways that I've seen people getting involved in Whiskey Club are lunches, right? Because a lot of times there'll be like a club lunch that's coordinated, and we're all going to meet at this particular restaurant. And often it's towards the latter part of the week, happy hour type stuff. And that's a ton of fun. You meet a lot of really good people that way, make connections. Bottle shares. Bottle shares are a huge thing in Whiskey Club, right? So you can do a bottle share or a tasting. So, they're really one and the same. It's just the tasting to me is a more formal environment where you're all tasting the same whiskey at the same time. And a bottle share is just where there's a bunch of bottles on the table that all of the attendees brought for free. They set them out and everybody just takes little samples and tastes things and gets to communicate with each other. Some of the most fun times I've had in the last couple of years have just been at bottle shares, absolutely for free, right? Bottle shares are great. Bottle splits. So every so often you'll see someone goes out and buys some amazing bottle of whiskey that's super expensive, and they just wanted to try it, and so they just split it up. Sometimes it costs, sometimes at a small profit. but they'll break it up into sample bottles and then sell those off to reimburse themselves for the part of the whiskey that they didn't want. So I've seen bottle splits. I see a lot of sample swaps. A lot of sample swaps happen at meetups. So if you go to lunch, if you go to a bottle share, bring some samples with you. And I can tell you, I have amazing samples here in my house that have been given to me absolutely for free when I've met up with other people. And then you also get access to club select bottles. So most whiskey clubs will work with, liquor stores and restaurants, and they'll do a barrel selection where they purchase the entire barrel of that whiskey. Often it has a club sticker on it with the logo, and you can do that and get access to those bottles. And those are one-of-a-kind bottles, and it's very fun for somebody who likes to drink whiskey to have access to that. But beyond that, Whiskey Club isn't just about drinking. I've seen a lot of philanthropy in whiskey clubs. I've seen people who have had tragedies in their family, and the whiskey community kind of surrounds up around them and takes care of them, does fundraisers, raises money, helps people find a place to stay when they need a place to stay, things like that. And that's really the community aspect of it that I want to foster, because that's really the more important thing than just drinking brown water. So we've also done a lot of Whiskey Club events. Usually there's some brand rep involved. So I've gone to E.H. Taylor Bottle and Bond tasting that was led by a rep. I've gone to a Russell's Reserve, tasting that was led by a rep. I've gone to a Heaven Hill tasting that was led by Bernie Lubbers. And that one included food, and those opportunities are a ton of fun, and it's an experience that you're not going to be able to experience on your own. You can't make that happen for yourself. And then there's just, sample bombs. So a lot of times you'll see on the club, somebody just out of the generosity of their heart decides that they're going to give away samples. And that's the one thing that I couldn't wrap my mind around when I was just a lurker. Why is this person giving away whiskey? And it wasn't until I started, because I didn't mind having somebody over to my house to have a pour with me, but it just felt weird giving them, a take home, to go bag of my whiskey. But that goodwill spreads and creates opportunities for you. So the reasons why I've had the opportunity to try all those amazing whiskeys and do all those things is because of the generosity that I've shown in the whiskey community. And so you can get in there and you can see samples that people are giving away, and you can go in on that and get access to free samples. And then you got to meet that person, and I call it press in the flesh. So anytime you do any of these things for somebody else and you meet them, you're going to shake hands, you're going to look each other in the eyes, and you're going to make a connection, and that's going to make your life, fuller and more rich. So those are some of the things that I've, seen. There's also some other aspects, right? So sometimes some clubs allow you to trade bottles or sell bottles on their page, on their group page. And there's a couple different ways to do that. You can do what they call CNS, which is cost plus shipping. And that's where you're offering the bottle up at cost or below cost to the club. And you can give away a bottle that's maybe harder to find at your cost. And that kind of makes you a superstar, and people, remember that about you. And they think of you when they're thinking of, opportunities. There's opportunities to go on things like barrel picks. So if you've ever had the chance to pick a barrel for a club, it is so much fun. You sometimes you do it off of samples that get shipped to you, but sometimes you get to go to the distillery and you go on a tour and they explain everything to you. And that's kind of the top level prize for a whiskey club member, and that's something that you would maybe want to do. But to do that, you're going to have to build a good reputation in the community. So a good way to build a good reputation is giving away samples, right? Doing cost plus shipping and selling bottles. And so every time I go out of town, I go to a store that has picks, and I pick up a few that I don't want, and I bring them back with me so that I can give them out to people who don't have the opportunity to get that particular bottle of whiskey. Giving away the sample bombs like we talked about. And there's a couple of ways that you can actually take from the whiskey community. And one way is by flipping bottles at above your cost, typically what we would call secondary. So some clubs allow you to offer your bottles up for sale for whatever price you want, and some people will offer those bottles up at an inflated price. and that's generally called flipping. So that's something that virtually everybody that's, participates a lot in Whiskey Club does some. Sometimes you buy bottles that you don't want to sell so that you can afford to buy the bottles that you didn't get a chance to buy at retail at the secondary price, and you kind of fund it that way. Some people kind of run a private liquor store, right? And that's what the laws are in place for. And I think that's probably what's going to get us in trouble in Whiskey Club eventually, is people are doing large volumes of secondary transactions. And that also can cause you to have kind of a negative reputation, if you will, inside the whiskey community. And the other thing that's kind of considered taking is if people are offering things up below their cost. You don't want to be known as the person that always goes in on that and tries to take advantage of getting that opportunity without also being someone who gives back. And so it's kind of about balance. So those two last things, selling bottles above retail cost and going in on discount opportunities, those are things that you want to balance with, the other activities that you engage in. But the one thing that you need to know is that there's nothing stopping you from doing any of this. If you are in a whiskey club right now, you can get on there and you can make a post about where you're eating lunch tomorrow, and you can ask people to go eat lunch with you, right? You can set up a bottle share at your house. You can set up a tasting at your house. You can do a bottle split right now. If you want to go out and buy a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle and break it up into 2-ounce bottles so that you just get your 2 ounces or your 4 ounces or whatever you want and you sell the rest off to fund the cost, you can do that right now. There's nothing stopping you from doing that, right? So, you can you probably need permission to set up a fundraiser, but if there's a fundraiser going on, obviously you can hop in there and contribute, right? If there's an opportunity where maybe a bottle got released and you're able to go pick the bottle up and bring it to someplace else, that's called muling. So offering yourself up when you know that you're traveling from point A to point B and saying, hey, I'm going from, this city to this city. Does anybody need me to take anything? Those are great ways to get involved, and nothing's stopping you from doing that right now. And so just trust me, even if it doesn't make sense to you right now, start doing some of these things and see how it feels to feel connected to that whiskey tribe and that whiskey community. And I think that what you're going to find is that it has enriched your life just like it has mine, and you'll be very grateful that you did it. So anyway, as always, everybody, I want you to know that I love you, and if you have any more content suggestions for me, you can throw them down in the comments, and you can check all this out on Bourbon Real Talk. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.